Well, thank you for the opportunity to join this panel. I was excited yesterday hearing, the leaders was talking about climate change, and I think Vice President Al Gore was saying, political will is renewable resource, right? So the feeling that I get right now is when we talk about, we don't even have to talk about adaptation yet, talk about climate change in general. There's still a big gap between the developed countries and the developing countries. And we have to address that gap, because when businesses come to picture, we cannot just look at the global businesses. We have to also talk about the local businesses. So first of all, I think what is adaptation?
Mm-hmm.
You were mentioning even the most advanced companies are still not clear.
Yeah.
How about us? Where we're coming from? We're between. Mitigation is we're starting, but adaptation is still very far off, right? So what it is actually needs to be social. We need to educate.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of program can we actually do? And when we talk about the who, right, it's government, yes, but where does each government stand also differ in their point, right? There are so many priorities of government. When we talk even about achieving net zero, of course they will commit themselves. Indonesia had committed to 2016 achieving net zero, but it's just a commitment, right? We know that has to be translated to companies on how they're going to achieve the net zero. So the work needs time. It is a process. And I just feel like we're running behind this time, right? And so that's, I think, bringing the actors. This is definitely a stakeholder engagement. We need to bring all actors in place. And this cannot be just government, business. It has to be all, the civil society. And lastly, also, when we talk about the how, yes, I agree, technology important. Yes, I agree, finance is very, very important. But we have, in our part of the world, have to look at the social components. Mm-hmm. So many of the effort that we're doing are hindered by the social aspect. So the intergenerational social aspect is very, very important, and we have to prioritize and put through this as well. Now, in ASEAN, we have, of course, done a number of things, and one of the first thing that's important is building infrastructure. Many of our countries face natural disasters. Yeah. So for sure, we need to build infrastructure. We need to build seawall for flooding. We need to build the building that's resilient to disaster. So this infrastructure building is number one. And second, when we talk about, we talk about deforestation, we talk about forestry, we are, right now working on mangrove, mangrove. During the G20 leadership of Indonesia, we invited all the leaders in Bali to go to mangrove. I think mangrove restoration it's a big thing, and this is we are starting with that as well. And the third aspect also, we have this called the strategic regional strategy on adaptations. Mm-hmm. So we're working on, the research and development, on sharing best practices, working, how capacity building can be built. So ASEAN is working, and we will translate this as well into our ASEAN agenda when we host this year. But Indonesia itself, right now, we are trying to work within different aspects. One is from the village part. We have a program called the Development Environment Villages. Mm-hmm. Environment Villages is working with, we have 1,000 villages right now that working on how to really do adaptation within the village,
right.
Working on decarbonization and so forth. We have also work on within urban urban context,
Sure.
you know. So the urban context, we work with ADB in Makassar, for example, in how to do the urban mobilization, you know, the urban resilience, you know,
Yep.
building. So things like this, we actually concrete on the ground. We start to do it. We look into the gender perspective. I think women, we really believe that in order to make adaptation work, gender needs to play into
Yes.
place, and has to be, that can be effective, right? So we put women and children. That is also a component that we are also working on at